Thot in Egypt. Thoth, also Thoth, or Thoth, whose name in hieroglyphs is Djehuty, is an Egyptian god, represented with ibis head. Its center of cult was Khemennu, Hermópolis, now called El-Ashmunen. The ancient Egyptians had the highest veneration for Thoth, who for them was the creator god, since he had brought to earth the use of hieroglyphic writing, alchemy, mathematics, architecture, medicine, magic, alchemy, the basis of all the sciences that led the Egyptians to a very high level of knowledge. According to Plato was Hermes, Thot, the father of geometry, revealing the use of numbers, geometry, astronomy and letters. It left more than 2,000 books written, almost all destroyed when the fire of the Library of Alexandria. Thoth understood all the mysteries of the human mind, so there is in the Book of the Dead of Egypt he represents the advocate of mankind. In many paintings Anubis is depicted next to the scale in which the soul of the dead was weighed before the trial court, where he appears before the scale in which the dead man's heart was weighed. On one side, on one of the plates of the scale, a feather was placed symbolizing the truth, and on the other side the abs symbolizing the heart of the dead. It was up to Thot to examine the mind and determine the dignity of the dead. In the great court is Thoth standing before the scales of judgment of men, penetrating the mind to judge the feelings and purposes. The scribe who in the engravings is represented in the presence of Osiris before the judgment of souls. Ancient Egyptians believed that before the dead entered into the hereafter, his heart should first be weighed in the presence of Osiris. At the very least the heart of the dead should have the weight of a feather. The scribe Thot carefully noted the outcome of each trial, noting whether or not he who was being weighed had done well, if he had lived a dignified and honorable life. That is why the Egyptians said that Thoth was the confidential scribe of the god Osiris, the secretary of all the gods, and that he had brought to the earth, among many other things, music, as well as the institution of a constant annual calendar of 365 days, similar to what was only later officialized and is used today. In the symbolic myth of the death of Osiris, the Egyptian tradition says that Thoth taught the goddess Isis to conjure charms, thus decisively contributing so that the goddess could completely reconstitute the body of her brother Osiris that had been shattered into small pieces. For this, it is said, all Egyptian magic had been taught by Thoth. The Egyptians referred to Thoth as the mind and language of Ra. It also represented the mind and the spoken word of Ra. The word constituted the power with which Ra objectified his ideas. In Egypt there existed a breed of followers of Thoth, made up of the greatest connoisseurs of the sciences of the time, especially of arithmetic. Those priests claimed that all their inspiration came from Thoth.